Have you ever wondered where your boldest thoughts really come from? Those that seem illogical, yet ignite something in your chest. What if I told you that some of them aren't born in you, but pass through you? Napoleon Hill believed there is an invisible force greater than us that reveals itself when the human mind is aligned with faith, purpose, and action. Maybe God isn't out there, distant, just watching. Maybe He is right here, waiting for you to move so He can move with you. In this video, you'll understand why great achievements are never accidents. They are divine impulses acting through those who are ready. The most revealing point comes at the end, and it will transform how you see your decisions, your faith, and even your finances. If this topic resonates with you, like, comment, and share this video now. That helps us spread this message to more people. A single thought has the power to change the course of an entire life. It might show up during a quiet walk, in traffic, or even after a sincere prayer. And curiously, the most powerful thoughts are those that arrive uninvited but bring with them a sense of urgency and purpose. Napoleon Hill teaches us that every empire, every transformation, every visible wealth began in the mind of someone who dared to believe. How many times has an idea lit up inside you, only to be shelved by doubt? That urge to start something new, to help someone, or completely change your life, it wasn't random. It may have been the divine spark of something greater. Thoughts, when fed with faith and courage, stop being just ideas and become sacred blueprints. But what gives a thought its true value is not its strength, but what we do with it. This is where the inner game begins. Thought is the seed. But if you don't cultivate it, you'll never harvest. Hill said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But more than just wishing, one must recognize that maybe, just maybe, that thought isn't just yours. There is something subtle yet immense about the human mind. It's not just a thought factory, but a bridge between the visible and the invisible. Most people believe thinking is an isolated act, but Napoleon Hill invites us to consider a new angle. What if thinking is, in fact, listening? A fine-tuned alignment with the divine, where ideas aren't created but revealed. People who made history often describe moments of sudden clarity. They weren't forcing ideas, they were receiving them. When the mind quiets and faith aligns with sincere intention, inspiration arrives with a clarity that logic can't explain. It's as if the mind is an antenna, and God is always broadcasting, simply waiting for someone to tune in. The secret lies in how you care for your frequency. Feeding your mind with fear, doubt, and distraction blocks the signal. But when you choose faith, silence, and the right intentions, something shifts. You realize you're no longer trying to find answers. They were already there, waiting to be heard. Napoleon Hill reveals a profound truth. When you think with faith, you're not thinking alone. There's a creative intelligence that expresses itself through those who believe. Thoughts filled with conviction and purpose attract something greater, as if heaven moves with your decision. It's not just your mind working, it's a silent partnership. You know that sudden clarity after sincere prayer, or the idea that seemed to come from nowhere, yet carried undeniable weight. These moments aren't just products of the brain, they're messages, they're answers. It's as if the Creator is saying, I'm with you, as long as you're with me. When you enter a state of true faith, you tap into a frequency where the impossible becomes logical. The secret is to no longer see yourself as someone alone, struggling to succeed. See yourself as someone supported by a higher intelligence that acts when you choose to act. And here's what few realize. When you think with faith, you're praying without words. And when you pray with faith, you're creating without even realizing it. True desire doesn't arise from ego, it's born from the soul. When something pulses intensely inside you, it's not mere ambition. It's a sign that a higher work wants to manifest through your life. Napoleon Hill called this a burning desire, and he knew every miracle begins with a desire that burns so strongly you can't ignore it. Not all desires are superficial. Some are so deep they outlast time, criticism, and even failure. These are marked by the divine, like embers that won't go out, even in the wind. If you feel a burning desire to change your life, you're not just dreaming, you're being called. Called to be a channel, a bridge, an instrument of something greater. So never underestimate what insists on living inside you. If something calls to you persistently, maybe it's God whispering, "I want this through you." And this kind of calling doesn't go away. It matures in silence until you say yes. Thinking is the first step. Desiring is the second. But without faith, everything remains invisible. Faith is the thread that stitches the inner world to the outer world. It's like the glue between the divine blueprint and concrete achievement. Napoleon Hill teaches that faith isn't waiting in fear, it's acting in certainty. True faith is walking even when you don't see the ground, trusting it will be there. Many think faith is passive, just waiting, but it's not. Faith is movement. It's action based on a conviction that doesn't need proof. When you start a project without the resources, when you decide to change even with fear, when you speak as if you've already received, that's faith in action. And it's in those moments that realities start forming. The most amazing part, that faith doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be sincere. You don't need to see the full picture, just take the first step. Because with faith, the invisible becomes inevitable. And maybe, without realizing, you're already closer than you think. It's not enough to think, desire, and have faith. There comes a moment when heaven waits for your feet to move. Napoleon Hill made it clear. Ideas without action are just good intentions. Action brings the invisible to life. When you act with faith, the universe gets the message. I'm ready. And at that moment, everything starts rearranging in your favor, like puzzle pieces falling into place. Have you noticed how sometimes just taking a step opens unexpected doors? It could be a phone call, a conversation, or a long postponed decision, finally made. That's how divine power moves, through your courage. God won't cross the street for you, but He will make sure that when you do, the way is clear. Action is a silent declaration of trust. Those who move, even with fear, show they believe more in the invisible than in the visible. And that quiet courage speaks louder than 1,000 words. Because those who act, even without seeing the outcome, are telling the Creator, "I trust you." And that kind of trust moves heaven. Sometimes the answer comes before the question. A sensation, a gut feeling, a gentle nudge saying, "Go this way." That's what we call intuition. But according to Napoleon Hill, it's much more than instinct. It's the voice of God whispering to those who are paying attention. A wisdom that doesn't shout, but speaks clearly to those who've learned how to listen. People often recall moments when an idea came out of nowhere, yet carried undeniable power. These moments aren't just brain work. They're messages, they're guidance. Intuition doesn't force itself. It gently insists. And those who learn to trust that voice begin to live with more clarity, accuracy, and connection. Listening to your intuition is an act of trust. It's like following an invisible map where each step might feel strange at first until everything begins to make sense. The beauty is, you don't need to understand divine logic. You just need to be available. Because when you allow that voice to guide you, extraordinary things begin to unfold. When the road blocks, most people think, God has abandoned me. But Napoleon Hill teaches a deeper truth. Adversity carries within it a hidden gift. Obstacles aren't punishments, they're tests. Each difficulty shows how committed you are to what you asked for. Gold is always tested by fire before it shines. So many give up right at the moment when the invisible is about to become visible. It's at that point many retreat, unaware. They were just steps away from their breakthrough. The test isn't there to break you. It's there to refine you. It's as if the universe asks, are you truly ready to receive what you asked for? Or will you let doubt win? How you respond. 2 obstacles reveals how much you trust your belief. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this preparing me for? Because every trial overcome is a confirmation you are on the right path. Everything that exists in the physical world began in an invisible place, imagination. Napoleon Hill saw imagination as the workshop where God draws the blueprints of reality. It's in this quiet mental space that the future begins to take shape. When you visualize something clearly and emotionally, you're actively participating in creation, like an architect receiving divine plans. Most people underestimate imagination's power. They think it's childish or a waste of time. But imagination is the channel through which dreams become concrete. A bridge is built first in someone's mind. A wealthy life is born first through vision, emotion, and belief. To imagine with faith is to build with God in the invisible. And here's what few notice. Whatever you don't yet have is what you haven't yet built in your mind. The secret isn't to see to believe, but to believe to see. When you take on the role of co-creator, often, unknowingly, you begin designing your life with the Creator's hands. There's a force that guides those who discover it. That force is purpose. Napoleon Hill saw purpose as the starting point of all true achievement. When someone lives without purpose, it's like a ship without a rudder. It may move, but it drifts. But when a person finds the deeper why behind what they do, the world begins to cooperate. Purpose attracts resources, people, and opportunities like a magnetic field. The most curious part is that purpose is often already inside the person, just dormant. It often appears as a frustration, a desire to serve, or even a pain that transforms. Those who look inward with sincerity find clues. Sometimes it shows up as a forgotten talent or a mission that no one else is willing to carry. But once it's found, everything changes. Because purpose is not about doing more, it's about doing what truly matters. It doesn't drain you, it renews you. And when aligned with faith, burning desire, and consistent action, purpose becomes a force that nothing can stop. After all, those who walk with the right direction don't need to rush, they just need to keep going. The world honors those who start, but God honors those who persist. According to Napoleon Hill, most people fail not because of a lack of talent or opportunities, but because they give up too soon. There's an invisible rhythm in every great achievement, and that rhythm requires repetition, consistency, and patience. It's like planting a seed and watering it every day, even without seeing it sprout, because you know something is happening underground. Persistent action is an act of faith. It means continuing even when emotions fluctuate, when results don't show, when doubt knocks on your door. And the most interesting thing is that over time, constant action becomes a spiritual habit. You move because you believe, and each step becomes part of the divine melody. A dance with time, in the rhythm of something greater. Those who persist with faith win, because consistency shows the universe and God that you're committed, not just to the outcome, but to the process. And the process is often the disguised blessing that builds your capacity to carry what you asked for. When 2 or more minds unite with faith and a true goal, something extraordinary happens. Napoleon Hill called this union an invisible force capable of creating new realities. It's as if the spirit manifests more powerfully when there's alignment. Among people with purpose, where there is unity, there is power. And where there is power, there is divine movement. Have you ever noticed how energy shifts when you talk to someone who truly understands you? How ideas seem to grow when shared, with people who vibrate on the same level. That's no coincidence. It's divine collaboration. God moves strongly when people unite for a greater good. This is more than teamwork. It's spiritual expansion. That's why it's crucial to choose wisely who you share your dreams with. Don't hand your plans to minds rooted in fear or scarcity. Find people who can see the invisible with you. Because when two souls meet in truth, heaven leans in to help. Many pray hoping something will fall from the sky, but Napoleon Hill teaches a deeper truth. Prayer without action is just wishful thinking. True prayer is followed by movement. It's saying amen and then taking the first step. It's trusting so deeply in the divine answer that you act as if you've already received it. That's the faith that moves mountains and builds bridges. How many times have you prayed for change but remained still waiting for a sign? That sign might have been the very idea that came right after your prayer but was ignored. When you pray with faith and rise to act, you're telling God, I'm ready. And that changes everything. Because faith without works is dead, but faith with action is unstoppable. The key lies in the union between heaven and earth, between spirituality and practical steps. When you ask with your heart and act with courage, the entire universe aligns. Not because you forced it, but because you moved. And sincere movement attracts miracles. Have you ever considered that maybe God doesn't need to come down from heaven, because He already lives in you? Napoleon Hill invites us to recognize that the Creator works through our hands, choices, and actions. It's not about waiting for an external miracle, but realizing that the miracle can happen through you. When you live with intention, faith, and courage, you become a channel for divine will. People who change the world aren't special. They're available. They're willing to listen to intuition, to act with purpose, and to keep going even without guarantees. They don't wait to be ready to serve. They serve, and in the process, become ready. And that's what separates those who just wish from those who manifest. God doesn't seek perfection. He seeks availability. The moment you understand you're not here just for yourself, everything shifts. Your work becomes mission. Your pain becomes path. Your life becomes a reflection of what heaven wants to plant on earth. Because the Creator doesn't act without an instrument, and you are that instrument. This is the truth few dare to embrace. God is not just watching your life. He's waiting for you to move so He can move through you. Napoleon Hill helped us see that every action taken with faith, every thought with purpose, every sincere desire is an opportunity for the divine to work through your hands. You're not just someone who seeks, you are someone who carries. The change you want to see, the abundance you dream of, the transformation you pray for. It already exists in the invisible realm, but it needs someone willing to be the channel. And when you position yourself, something powerful happens. You become the answer to the very thing you once asked in prayer. The miracle doesn't come from outside, it activates within. You are the living expression of a greater plan. And that's when everything fits together. Your thoughts, your faith, your desires, your struggles, your story. None of it was in vain. It was all preparing you to understand that you're not waiting for God to act. God is waiting for you to allow it, because He works, and works through those who decide to live with courage. You are not a loose piece in the universe. You are an active part of a greater plan, an extension of the intelligence that created everything that exists. When you live with faith, purpose, and action, you become more than a human being. You become an instrument of the divine. And that's when life begins to make sense. Don't be afraid to feel deeply, to act with courage, to imagine the impossible. Everything that beats within you with truth is God calling you to manifest something that only you can bring into the world. Don't ignore this call. Embrace it. If this video spoke to your soul, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Share this with someone you know also needs to hear this message. Write in the comments, "I allow God to move through my life. You are not alone. You never were. And now, it's time to walk with the certainty that heaven is in motion within."